Benny Walchuk joins us on the line, the voice of the Yorkton Terriers, Melville Millionaires, and more. Of course, the guest hotline for Western Pizza, the pizza known worldwide for a reason. Benny, I don't want you to get too hungry, so I'm going to stop there, but let's sink our teeth into some SJHL hockey. The SJHL Power Rankings, you've compiled them, they're out. What do they say?
It's once again a change atop the leaderboard. You got the Kindersley Clippers for the first time. They're atop the leaderboard, and you look at their standings right now. They've played the most games in the Saskatchewan Junior Hockey League. And what stands out for me is they played 11 overtime games so far. Yes, we're not even halfway through the season. They've already played 11 games into overtime. They've got points, or they've lost actually 7 of those, 5 in the shootout. So maybe haven't had success, but they are getting points. And when you look down the stretch later in the season, you know how those points are crucial as you battle for playoff positioning. You got teams like Humboldt had a little bit of a stumble on the weekend, dropping a couple of games, so they dropped a little bit. Weyburn held steady at number 2. And then you have a team like the Flin Flon Bombers who are back at home. They played, I think, 9 or 10 of their first 11 and away from the Whitney Farm. So they're back at home for the month of November, and they've played some very good hockey. Had a big sweep this past weekend over the Humboldt Broncos. So they're up a couple of spots. And you had 2 teams that have, or a team for sure in the Yorkton Terriers that maybe have dropped just because they haven't played. They had a good road trip last week, but they haven't played in 11 days. So they'll be back at it here this weekend. So plenty of parity once again. If you look at the standings, not much separates them. And even a team like the Warman Wolverines, who won 2 games this past week and had upset the Flin Flon Bombers on Tuesday night. So any given night, anybody can beat when that's what makes the SJHL so special, Dave.
Benny Walchuk, this is the SJHL report. First, before we delve into those power rankings, how about we talk a little bit about the schedule? Because I know that there have been teams that do get the 7, 8, 9, 10, 11-day breaks. Is that a league initiative? Is that a building availability initiative? Is that just is that a scheduling quirk? How does that happen?
A little bit of both, I think it is. Of course, Yorkton had the Harvest Showdown, which is an indoor rodeo and an agricultural show with PBR and everything like that. So they had to be out of their ring for 2.5, 3 weeks. So they couldn't schedule any home games in that span. They did go on a 4-game road trip, but to find road games, you got to have 2 to tangle kind of thing for the road trip. So they were offered a little bit of that's actually their second 11-day break. So sometime is stadium availability. Of course, Malville's going to be hosting the provincial men's and women's curling championships happening in January. So they'll be out of their rink for 2.5 weeks as well. So they'll have to play away from the road on that stretch. And yeah, it's one of those things. A lot of it is teams trying to play on certain days, possibly. Like a lot of teams want to play on weekends, Fridays, Saturdays for the gates, and you get more butts in the seats. And then the second thing is the biggest part is is stadium availability. Yorkton has plenty of minor hockey happening. They have a AAA team. They have girls AA programs. They have lots of hockey here in the area to fill the arena. So it's one of those things. Yorkton Terriers do get top priority, but still, a lot of kids have to play, and it's only so much ice surfaces here in Yorkton.
What's going on in Yorkton, Benny? I thought you said 2 to tango. I thought it was either the polka or 2-step in Yorkton. Am I never mind. Sorry, different conversation. Let's talk about the Kindersley Clippers then. 11 overtime games played this season. So taking a game to extra time is a skill. Obviously, you'd love to get the 2 points in regulation, but what does that say about the Kindersley Clippers? What have you seen from them with 31 points in 23 games?
Yeah, I think it's just a team that's it's hard to play against. One of the maybe most underrated players in the league right now is Avery Johnson. He hasn't been talked about a whole lot, but you look at his stats, he's got 30 points in 23 games. 5 of those goals have come on the power play, and their power play is outstanding. They did get a little bit of a boost when the Millionaires had an off night, and they went 8 for 10 on the power play just over a month ago. But they're a team, they're very, very stingy, like to be in your face type of thing, and good goaltending. Brett O'Halloran is a very, very good netminder in the Saskatchewan Junior Hockey League. He's got an 8-3 record right now with a .920 save percentage out of Calgary in his second season. He was a Rookie of the Year finalist last year, and he's the guy that doesn't let a lot of pucks in. So if you play good defensively, like the Kindersley Clippers have, and you get good goaltending, good things can happen. And up and down scoring, you don't see a lot of guys. You have Avery Johnson up at 30, but the rest of the way there's guys 2 or 3 points separated. So it's a balanced hockey club that's just playing some good hockey. I'm sure Kyle Schneider, the head coach there, is going to want a little bit more results in the extra time. But so like we talked about at the top, getting points early on this season is crucial.
Benny Walchuk in the SJHL report continues here in the Sports Cage. And Okay, Kindersley, again, the other number that jumps off the page. Yeah, they played 23 games, so more than anyone else in the league. They actually, Weyburn's in second with 4 games in hand, but 539 penalty minutes. That is the definition of a team that's tough to play against, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. You have a team, Malville's up there in the standings, so you want to be tough to play against. You want to play on that edge a little bit as well. And Kindersley's doing a pretty decent job on the PK so far this season. So if you're going to take a lot of those penalties, you got to make sure you'll be able to kill those penalties off. And you look at their penalty kill, which is 82% on the season, the upper echelon of the Saskatchewan Junior Hockey League. And you look at a team like Malville, who's took a lot of penalty minutes as well, but they're at the bottom, and that's the biggest thing. If you're going to take some penalties or play on that edge and go over a little bit, you're going to make sure you're able to kill those penalties. And you see Kindersley's at the top with a very good penalty kill, despite taking the penalties. Millionaires towards the bottom right now this season, taking all those penalties. So special teams is a big factor if you're going to play on that edge.
Have you figured out the Estevan Bruins yet? First 10 games, they're a game over 500. Essentially, now in their last 10, they're 6-3-1. They've won, or I guess are unbeaten in their last 3. What is the team that is the Estevan Bruins?
Yeah, it's kind of a Jekyll and Hyde team. Like you said, they play very good. They had a great game just earlier this week against the Laurent Ice Wolves, and they're a team that when their top guys are going, they'll have success. Ewan Rennie's had a good start to his season with 34 points in 20 games, and then acquisitions like Ryland Williams, Colton Getzlaff, they got from Battlefords in the off season. They're stepping in. So it's one of those things. This is more of maybe a top heavy team compared to Kindersley, which is more balanced. He's there if the good guys are going, which they have been the last couple of weeks. Like Ryland Williams has got 2 Saskatchewan-born players of the week already this season. So it's a team that's scoring a lot of goals when they can, and also getting some good goaltending. So it's a team that's probably still Drew Kosher still kind of tinkering with that roster to find its identity, but they're playing much better here hockey as of late, and maybe exceeding expectations early on than maybe Drew even hoped.
Benny Walchuk on the Western Pizza Guest Hotline. It's the SJHL report, and they've told me in the Western Hockey League for years that when you get to the American Thanksgiving, you know exactly who your team are and what they are. Is that the same in the SJHL, and are there any surprises or teams that you think that aren't satisfied with who and what they are?
Yeah, exactly. That's definitely is. That December 1st. There used to be a December 1st roster deadline. They don't have that right now, but that's kind of where maybe teams will start maybe moving on with some of their older players. And a team like that is the Malville Millionaires, a team that's, I know you're talking to Doug Johnson earlier this week. They think they could have won 5 or 6 more games. It just either a tough mistake or maybe didn't get a save or didn't get that timely goal. So I know they're still right in there, a couple of points back of a playoff spot right now, but they think they should be maybe 13, 14 wins in the season right now and towards the top end of the Bugny division. So they're a team maybe under Manning right now and maybe underappreciated with their efforts so far this season. Malford Mustangs, of course, the 2-time defending champions. You knew there would be a little bit of a championship hangover with the amount of talent they lost, and they currently sit with 18 points in the season towards the bottom half of the standings. They do have played the less games in the league at 17, but that's a team still trying to tinker with their roster as well, and they don't really have that top line that they've had the last couple of years, so they're going to have to score by committee, and that scoring just hasn't come. So those are 2 ton of teams that have stood out for me right now in the standings. Nipawin team had a great start. They're a little bit stumble here as of late. But, yeah, those are 2. Malville and probably Melford are the 2 teams right now that are probably kind of seeing where they're at. Are they think they have a good team now and just not getting the results, or is it a team that we have to tinker with our roster to here so early in the season try to get back on track? So it's very interesting to see, and those have been some couple of moves in the SJHL already. I don't think we'll see lots here before Christmas, but we'll see what happens here before that roster freeze in the middle of December.
Well, a couple of other roster stories, Benny, that we should talk about here on the SJHL report. First and foremost, tell me about the Viking Cup.
Yeah, the Viking Cup is an initiative. It's an event that happened nearly 20 years ago. It started, and it was an event that was ran from 1980 to 2006, which brought university, college, junior, U18 national teams from across the world to Camrose, Alberta. So you look at the names that have been part of it. Henrik Lundqvist, everybody knows who he is. Dominik Hasek, Joe Pavelski, of course, a great American player. He all played in the Viking Cup, and it's going to be returned here in 2025 in Camrose around December 27th to January 4th at the Encana Center there in Camrose, and they'll feature a team from Czechia, a team from the down south, the Midland University Warriors, and of course 2 ACAC teams, the State Trojans and Augustana Vikings, and then the SJHL will be sending a U20 All-Star team, so it comprised of teams or players that are born in 2005, 2006, and it'll kind of be a showcase for them, not only to have a chance to win the Viking Cup and also showcase themselves through some ACAC schools. I'm sure there will be some youth sports teams there as well, possibly some NCAA teams as well with the new rules that anybody can go down south of the border, and who knows, maybe some pro scouts is there as well. So it's kind of a showcase for them. Timing of it maybe not ideal for some players who have played a lot of hockey. I know most of them will be returning back to their teams there in December 27th to January 4th, but also some teams are going to be back playing as well, so you're going to lose your guy maybe for a couple of games. So I think it's going to be a decision for some players if they want to take part in this or to go back to their teams and maybe enjoy a little bit of a longer break if they do have a break down to Christmas time. So it's an event it's great to have initiative and exposure for the teams, and we'll see what kind of roster should be announced here at the middle of December.
And Benny, before we let you go on the SJHL report, the Canada West roster, tell me about the event and what we can expect, or maybe an insight into who we should expect on that roster.
Yeah, of course, the 2025 World Junior A Challenge will be taking place later this year, next month down east. And, of course, the Western All-Star Showcase between the SJHL and MJHL took place earlier this month, late last month in Martinsville, and a chance for those U18 players, U19 players to have a chance to compete for spots. And the roster should be announced next week for Canada West, and they're pretty tight-lipped there, Hockey Canada. They don't want to release, but looks my inklings things, so maybe a handful of Saskatchewan Junior Hockey League players will be named to the roster, a couple older guys maybe on the back end, and a few young guys up front as well. So it's a roster that's, of course, with the head coach Trevor Blevins and Carter Hansen, who's going to be a part of that coaching staff as well. They know what guys are in the SJHL, which is great for the league to have maybe a little bit more SJHL players than we have had in the past. So, Team Canada West roster will be announced sometime next week, and you can expect probably a handful of SJHL players able to don the Maple Leaf, which is always special to wear that Hockey Canada jersey at a world event. And once again, that event will take place next month down east.
There's not much better than a chill in the air and Benny Walchuk on the radio. Where are we going to hear your broadcast?
This weekend will be, of course, the Highway 10 battle will be on tap Friday nights as the Millionaires take on the Yorkton Terriers. So we'll get that cattle smell coming out of the Westland Arena after the rodeo earlier this month for the Harvest Showdown. But the two teams battle. They split their season series at Thanksgiving time, and they're always, like I said, Yorkton hasn't played for quite a while. Malva's trying to get back on track, and it should be a good weekend of hockey here. Down Highway 10, weather's going to be great, so hopefully everybody makes it out to the arena on Friday in Yorkton and Saturday night at the CN Community Center in Melville.
Let's just throw this for instance out. For instance, the game is over and there's some music playing, Benny. Which are we most likely to see from you? A two-step, a polka, or a tango?
Oh, probably a two-step or polka. I'm not sure which one. Probably a polka. I'm more of a polka guy, but I've learned over the years going to a lot of cabarets and Ukrainian weddings in my day that I've learned how to two-step as well. So either of those, probably not a tango for me, no.
They would have kicked you out of Yorkton and Melville if you didn't know how to two-step, Benny.
Exactly.
Thanks for your time on the SJHL Report.
Thanks, Dave. Appreciate it.
Benny.